Consumer expectations have never been higher. But with the evolving economic and competitive pressures, it's getting harder for brands to deliver the kind of consistent, compelling experiences that keep customers loyal. Can operations and facilities leaders find ways to meet these demands while growing their footprint and ultimately drive revenue? Let's find out. Welcome to Elevating Brick and Mortar, a show that discusses the crucial role that facilities, construction, and operations play in designing and delivering a compelling customer experience. Hello everyone, welcome to Elevating Brick and Mortar. Thank you for joining us. I'm here today with Sanjay Jain, Chairman of the National DCP Board of Directors, which services nearly 10,000 Dunkin restaurants in the US and 41 other countries. Sanjay, welcome. So for folks in our audience who might not be familiar, can you share some insight into NDCP?
I'm glad to be here. NDCP is a full service supply chain. And as you said, we service to 10,000 restaurants, 41 countries, and we do full-blown sourcing, procurement, distribution. And whenever you see on that road the truck saying NDCP, that's who we are.
Wow. So Sanjay, for folks who might not be fully familiar with it, how did NDCP start and why did it get started? And would love to understand how you became part of it.
Oh, that's very interesting. So in the 80s and then going into the 90s, there were regional distribution co-ops, okay? And in 2012, the regional co-ops determined that if we really wanted to be serious and we really wanted to do business on the long run and for the cost saving of our franchisees, we all need to come together. All these 5 regional co-ops decided to merge together: Chicago, New York, Boston. That became the NDCP, National Distribution Cooperative Program, which was at that time called Coffee Program. And the idea was we buy in big bulk and be the lowest cost provider to our stores. That was the focus. The mission was always twofold, which is be the lowest cost provider and provide the best service. They started with a goal of wanting to save $200 million in 2012. And now we have saved $2 billion to our franchisees.
Wow, that's phenomenal.
Yeah.
When you look at the number of members you have, that's huge. That's 10,000 locations. How many operators does that include?
So right now we are somewhere around 1,100 franchisees.
Okay.
But what is happening is there has been consolidation. We were around 1,200, 1,250. So somewhere around 1,100, we are up franchisees who manage these businesses all across.
Got it. And as chairman of the board of directors, what are you responsible for? What is the board in general, responsible for?
The number one thing is governance, okay? And compliance is second one. And third one, I would say enterprise risk management. When you're on a board, you need to make sure that there are programs that govern a $3 billion company like a proper public-private company. And that's your responsibility as a board member. And you need to initiate programs that are compliance, whether it's fraud related, whether it's environment related compliance programs. And the other thing is need to have a whole overall enterprise risk management for any kind of things that may happen or may not happen.
Got it. Now, you're also an independent business owner yourself and have multiple franchises. So which brands do you have and how many locations do you own?
I am involved with Dunkin, Baskin, Buffalo Wild Wings, and now Jimmy John's. I own a few dozen stores across the Metro New York. And my background as a CPA with Ernst & Young and BDO, coming from that side of the shop, was primarily to start a business on my own. And actually, since you asked this question, I have to digress and then come back.
Yeah,
The sole running piece of my operations is my wife, Nirja. She runs the whole operations for this company.
lovely.
This any business, you have to have a very strong leg of operations
Yeah.
and finance, and that's how our starting happened.
Did you decide from, a long time ago that you wanted to get into the franchise business or be a small business owner, or was it organic and it started with one and then now you've got a dozen or so?
Well, you asked me a question which is very dear to my heart. We wanted to do business, and we started even before Dunkin 20 years back. We had stores in the mall, and we were dealing with a smaller franchise. And what happened to us at that time, that franchisor became bankrupt. So we carried the stores at different malls, and then both of us came to a realization is next time we're going to do business, we're going to do with a bigger franchisor who have processes in place, and also we carried through those stores even though the franchisor had become bankrupt as an independent operators. So that was a starting with a bigger one. Then that's when I decided the balance sheet and the financial of the franchisor is equally important.
Yeah. Is it different to have, different brands as part of your company, or is it the same team, just a different product and a different brand that you're servicing?
So I'm going to talk from the franchisee perspective, and then I'm going to talk from the customer perspective.
Sure.
So from the customer perspective, they're looking for value, quality, good service, and good food.
Yeah.
And from the franchisee perspective, we are looking for how to run it efficiently. So every brand has its nuances, I would say. They do it differently. Some things are better with one brand, another. But overall, the business model is pretty much the same. What you're trying to do is you are trying to run a business like a business, and your two major costs being food and payroll. So you have to manage your, whether it's Buffalo Wild Wings or whether it's Dunkin or Baskin, any of those. So those are the one you have to pay attention to.
Your focus is building efficiencies, focusing on customer service, while also kind of growing your business. So, how important is kind of building the right team, and how do you, keep that team motivated as you think about just expanding into other brands and other locations?
I'll talk the existence of NDCP, how it has helped us, and then I'll go into the other brands. The whole existence of NDCP has been is to provide lower cost of goods sold. Okay, food cost is so critical, and to have a good quality is so critical, and that's what NDCP's whole mission is and function is, and they've been able to do that. And then you translate that to the other brands. You're looking for standardization and also a cost that is not exorbitant, and then you deploy your labor to create that business model. I mean, obviously meat is more expensive than this thing, but once you go in, then you do your analysis what works for you.
So, Sanjay, as within the franchise world, right, there are certain brand guidelines that each brand will have that they will, kind of hold the franchisee accountable to. How much of that is, when you look at the whole business, how much do they say, here are the things that you have to do, and how much of it do they just let you figure it out on your own?
It is very critical that you follow that brand's processes. The shortcut of that processes in that brand will lead to either not a quality product being served to the customer, or shortcutting those processes will not be best for your business. So it's a thing is there is a whole training each brand has, and you go through that process, which I have gone, and obviously Rija in much more detail. Baskin has their own training process. Dunkin has their own training process. Buffalo Wild Wings Go has their own training process. You go and assimilate and you get the best of the world over there. Then you try to apply to your restaurant all those that training tips that you have learned. However, I must say that is all operational. Okay, one has to have enough knowledge on the other side, which is the back end, and to be able to manage your business from cash flow P&L perspective to make the two work.
Well, there's been a lot of change in consumer expectations and some really interesting macro trends, which I would love to get into as well, especially that has happened over the past few years. How has that changed how you run your business in the past, couple 2-3 years?
I think the biggest change that I have seen is from COVID onward now. And the biggest change that relates to is it's more digital, it's more loyalty driven, it's more drive through. Those are the very huge changes. I remember we used to have digital 10%, 8% of the business. Now we do 30% of our business is digital, very loyalty driven, drive through. 70 to 80% of the customer don't want to come back outside of their car when they're in a drive through. So those are the big, huge changes in this industry that have happened. It's not going back either. So if I was to say future, it's going to be more digital, more loyalty, more drive-through. And you see the trend. Look at the Starbucks. Starbucks is closing their regular corner stores and putting small drive-throughs. So,
Right.
so that's the nature of the game.
Yeah, like drive-throughs made a massive comeback
Yeah.
after COVID,
Yeah.
because customers figured out, this is
Yeah.
pretty good.
Yeah.
This is
Yeah.
easy. They kind of got used to it during COVID and it just stayed, right? And so now I presume businesses are having to adapt in terms of construction and design, how they build their locations, but also where they build their locations, right? Can you share your thoughts on that?
Parking is also equally important. So what has happened over the years, parking, drive-through, digital, loyalty are the key drivers of your business now. So earlier we would be in any shopping mall and we would have a store in any shopping mall and it would be successful. I don't think so. It's the same thing now. Now our real estate has to either provide sufficient parking in and out, easy access, or a drive-through. That is the name of the game. Otherwise, the customer will go to the next store and say, "Hey, that's easy for me to get in, get out. I will do that." And that has changed. Also, people are on their calls, conference calls, or doing other things while they're in the car. They'll just pick up stuff from their drive-through and they go their merry way. They don't want to get out of the car. It's raining, it's snowing. You have kids in the car. You don't want to do that. So that's a big change in this after COVID. It was building up, but I think it's really hot now.
As someone who owns restaurants himself, and then as the chair of NDCP, what else are you hearing in terms of things that you could do to better be prepared for this changing consumer demand and expectations and figuring out how to meet the customer where they are?
The name of the game is value. And everybody is wanting to provide value by quality, by low cost, and by pricing. And these ingredients, easy access. So you put those four things together, that's the real value. Whether it's Starbucks, whether it's McDonald's, whether it's us, whether it's Burger King or Tim Hortons, each one of us are wanting to provide our customers with that value. And it's greater quality of food, easy access, and good pricing, and consistency.
Consistency.
Day in, day out. If you are not going to be consistent, you'll be out of this business.
That's right. Especially as you look at multi-location brands and franchisees, no one wants to go to a Dunkin in Long Island somewhere and have one type of experience and then go to another Dunkin in Deerbrook, Chicago, or Deerfield, Chicago, and be like, "Oh, this is another experience." Right? You want some level of consistency, and when you walk into a brand, like you want familiarity, right?
You nailed it. Actually, one of the things you earlier on you had said is about the training and each brand. That's where you'd get the consistency. The coffee in Chicago better taste the same in Florida or in
Right.
Boston or in California. Otherwise, why would you go to the Dunkin' for another experience?
That's
Because
right.
you are going there, you are expecting the same cup of coffee and same sandwich or donut.
That's right. Now, let's pivot a little bit from like the product itself to everything that surrounds it, right? Which is the actual physical space, the ambiance, how it feels. A lot of the folks in our audience are from construction, design, facilities, operations. You know, do you think folks give those functions the attention and credit they're due in terms of how you deliver on a brand promise?
We started this restaurant solution group, and this restaurant solution group is involved in all the stores across the country that are coming for the remodel for the call the next generation level of Dunkin'. And you may have seen or you may not have seen the tap system, the front donut case, and digital. These stores coming with those. And the reason for that is exactly what you just said is customers are looking for a different level of experience. When you see the donut case right in front of your eyes, all the different kind of 14 types of or 18 types of donuts, you tend to say, okay, I like this one today, and
The
I'll
impulse
try this
buys,
one.
yeah.
And when you have the tap system and you have the same consistency of drinks every day, you said, hey, you know what? I tried this one. I'm going to try this one, but I know exactly how it will taste, and I'm going to try that. So
Right.
those are then when you also the third one, which is very big, is you order through your app, and by the time you come, your order is ready. You don't even want to interact anybody. You pick your order and you're out the way. So that has become very big, especially with the younger generation.
Yeah, and I'll talk about that in a second in terms of the omni-channel experience. But to kind of finish the thought that you were just talking about in terms of the actual physical space, I agree with you, and that's a big part of the conversations we have on this show, which is folks today want consistency and they want an elevated experience, no matter the brand, right? It doesn't matter if it's a luxury product, a food item, and whether it's quick serve or full service restaurant, it doesn't matter. When you walk in, there's a certain expectation you have today of cleanliness, of how the facility is upkept. You don't want to walk in to a location where the doors are shaky and you almost feel like it's going to fall off its hinge, or it doesn't work, or it's hot in the restaurant, or there's stains on the ceiling tile. Like nothing's worse than that. Like you just feel like if that is what's happening, and it's in my view, what's happening in the kitchen, right? And so they say about bathrooms too, right? If the bathroom's is dirty, how could the kitchen be?
So you may have seen a lot of these new quick service restaurant have an open kitchen. So you can see how their food is being prepared, how their drink is prepared. And the beauty is not only you go inside, you see that, but there's another factor that is driving the sales, which is the digital that I talked about, which is DoorDash, Uber, Grubhub. Today, if you want to say, hey, I feel like having chicken and I don't want to drive. So you go to your app and you order, I want to have iced coffee and donut. You go on your app to do. So you're sitting in your privacy and you will have exactly what you wanted through the apps. So that's a big, huge change. And that's the growth or the future of QSR or non QSR.
Yeah, that's 100% right. I think some of the interesting stats that I've heard is that pre-COVID, maybe takeouts represented like 5% of like a restaurant's business. Post-COVID, that's upwards of 25-30%, and it could be
Easy.
higher depending on the type of restaurant, right?
Exactly right. Exactly. We've seen it even in the Dunkin' world, I mean even in Buffalo Wild Wings Go world. It's a lot of it is to go digital for the same reason. And all these third parties are delivering food on daily basis to the clients that they are serving.
Now, how do you ensure that the demand is coming? You've got the customers who have driven to your facility and are in the drive-through. Then you've got the customers who have parked their car and are in your restaurant.
Right.
And the ones who are ordering Uber,
Online.
DoorDash online. No matter where they are, all customers want the same experience, right? It's like the omni-channel experience has to be consistent, the same. No one is giving you any leeway of saying, "Oh, I'm in the restaurant, so the experience might be X, and if I'm in my couch, I'm okay if it's slightly worse." No, they expect the same high level of consistency, right?
They expect, and we should deliver. What was happening is soon after COVID, we noticed our digital business is moving faster. So somebody would order coffee and a donut. So they would have two packets and they would come and pick it up, and they would only pick up coffee or they would pick up donuts, and one would be left out. Now what we have done, we have changed our procedure in such a way that it's a one package for them, so that nothing gets left out. And so each one of us knowing what the customer experience is, whether the customer is over there, whether the customer is just picking up, or whether it's customer ordered through any of the third parties, they better have the same quality of product, the same value the proposition, the same freshness of the food delivered to them.
I've seen a lot of restaurants, because the demand has gone up, you cannot compromise on the wait times of the customer who's in your drive-through because you're servicing the customer who's on their couch, right? And so many customers are also creating dedicated lines for, the different channels where they're meeting their customer, because you don't want to have one overshadow the other. And they're making their kitchens bigger. They're also having a separate section for seating for the actual drivers who are waiting for the food. So all these different things, impact how the drivers perceive you, how the customer perceives you, right? And this is all tied to the physical space, so you can deliver on the same brand experience.
Just for example, now where we have the drive-through, we have another coffee machines. We have another set of donuts over there near the drive-through window. We have the front donut case for the same reason. They should be able to be delivered fast to both the customers.
Yeah.
And then we have a separate section for the pickup window, which has the pickup side. So all three should have the same experience as a customer. That's the name of the game.
Right. And is that something which comes from the franchisor, or is it your initiative?
I'm very involved with the franchisor. I'm at the brand advisory committee. I'm with the construction and remodeling committee. I co-chair that, and menu management. And the beauty of Dunkin as a brand, it really is. 99% of the franchisees are like me, meaning that corporate owns 30 plus stores and rest all are. So when we are all sitting together, we all want to resolve the same issues that we are struggling through.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful way of working with the brand, the franchisor and franchisee working together. And really, as far as Dunkin is concerned, we do it. So Dunkin is the brand that owns the franchisees own their own supply chain, and we work with the brand for all solutions. So those are very helpful, and that's the reason why we are able to provide to our customer cost of goods that are lower.
I love it. I mean, that's a symbiotic coexistence, right? You have to have both working towards one singular goal. Otherwise, one doesn't exist without the other, right?
Exactly right. Yeah.
Just so you know, like you have two big fans of Dunkin', like in the Shetty household. Like my two kids, 4 and 6, huge Dunkin' Donut fans.
Wow.
To the point where like it's a problem.
That's awesome.
They want donuts all the time. And when I travel, I travel a lot. I will find myself door dashing
Oh, wow.
donuts
There we go.
to come to my house as a
Yeah,
way to like let them know that
yeah,
daddy's thinking of them, and
yeah,
it just shows up at their door. So I very very much appreciate the fact that if I'm going to have my kids enjoy your donuts,
yeah.
much to the annoyance of my wife, I get them all sugared up when I'm not at home.
Yeah.
I want it to be quality, and I want it to show up when I've asked it, to show up, right?
Yeah, that's exactly the new digital age is where kids or elders want an instant gratification.
That's
I
right.
want this now, and that is what is happening.
That's right. I mean, I'm sitting in a plane about to
Yeah,
take off, and I'm ordering
correct.
donuts to be delivered home,
Exactly.
right? That
Home.
is the
Yeah.
beauty of the time you're in. So Sanjay, you've built a successful business around you. Clearly have a huge impact, within the Dunkin brands through NDCP. What has been the key to your success? Like, how did you get to where you are?
I think my personal life changed when after Ernst and Young and BDO director, I helped a company to get out of bankruptcy, and that company was in pink sheets. And then we went through the process of getting compliance and back on New York Stock Exchange, and that made me realize that that I really loved to bring something back to life. And that was the starting of my true business career. I had decided then that my next move is going to be back in business because that's what I love. So for me, and the advantage that I had on top of it, that I had a very strong, being a CPA, very very strong financial background. My wife had a very marketing MBA. She had a very strong operational and marketing background. So I think we really became a team from running a business. I could say that a perfect team because we carried the whole side of whether it's marketing, whether it's distribution, whether it's customer service, whether it's P&Ls, accounting, taxes. So that's how we geared towards it.
That's amazing. Well,
Yeah.
congratulations to you and your wife on
Thanks.
doing that successfully and making a huge and big impact. Sanjay, let's talk about a couple of challenges that are existing in the space right now, right? I mean, there's a massive labor shortage, and there was also a supply chain issue, post COVID. How did that impact your business? How are you combating it today? And then, from what I understand, like you've also NDCP has opened its 10th distribution center, or is about to open it next year. I'd love to understand, like, how are you solving some of these problems that every single operator, whether you have one location or 12, faces?
So I'll separate the two out, but I'll answer both things. First thing is labor.
Yeah,
That is right now the number one issue
that's right.
for all franchisees.
That's
Doesn't
right.
matter which brand it is.
Human
And
capital is not is really is
yeah,
scarcity right now.
it is. It is. So you have to put programs in place for your organization that allows the incentives for them to be with you. I've had people for 15, 20 years with us, you
Hmm.
know,
Wow.
and also you have to treat your people with respect. If you
Yeah.
expect respect, you have to treat that. These are very important things that you have to put a whole infrastructure for your organization where somebody is listening to them. Hiring and training has to be continuous.
Right.
It's not a one day job. It's a
Right.
continuous. We have in this industry turnover of 30 to 50% every year. Okay.
Wow.
And in some cases it goes above 50 to 70%. So with that kind of turnover rate, you have to constantly looking for better people. You're constantly training them. And what works is train the trainer.
Yeah.
You train your people, they train others, and the others train others, and that's how you get everybody on the same page.
Yeah.
Now you touched on a little bit on the real estate side, DC. On NDCP side, we are opening our 10th distribution center. I have a change in strategy for NDCP. We have been renting and we've been leasing the other DCs, and the strategy has been for since I became the chairman is we're going to be owning, and we started in Burleson, Texas. We're building on first distribution center, and that's the route we are taking. And the reason is twofold, very simple, for the stores or for the DC. When you own your own real estate, you're not going to have a double digit increases in the rents and the leases. You manage your goals and you manage your objectives and expectations much better if you own some of this real estate. And we are doing the same thing with our trucks and tractors. We were leasing them for NDCP. Now we are buying them. We have them because we can get more out of them.
That's fascinating. Did it help you during COVID that you had your own distribution centers and you were able to maybe feel the
Yes.
impact a little bit lesser, for you
Yeah.
and your members?
Yeah, definitely. As opposed to, and I've heard that, and I've known that the companies that were doing third party distribution had a lot more trouble in getting the foods to the stores as opposed to us. In fact, we recently did a third party study on us, what we did, and among the 23 companies that are involved in distribution supply chain business, we were among the top quartile.
Mm.
That our perfect order, our distribution, our e- our each one of the benchmarks are above most of those 23 companies that we looked at.
Interesting. And do you only use your distribution centers for food, or do you also build an inventory of certain critical assets and it's available, to your members to purchase, like coffee grinders or, fryers and things like that? How do you leverage that?
So, as I said, we started this 2 years back about owning ours. So, we have different tranches of trucks and tractors that we have implemented that ours now, and other tranches are coming in. Our first DC is going to be opening in Texas. The others are lease locations, but that's the route we're taking. And personally, also, I believe in the same thing. I'm believe in asset management, and wherever I can and I will, I have my own drive-throughs, I have my own stores and my own real estate. And also, wherever we can leverage the real estate with different brands as long as there is separation. For the same building, if I could have Buffalo Wild Wings to go and a Dunkin and a Baskin, I will, because that helps the bottom line.
Got it. Got it. Now, let's pivot a little bit and talk about the future, Sanjay. As a business owner, as a chairman of NDCP, but also as a consumer, what excites you about the time we're in?
I think there are a couple of things. What really excites me is this new generation, for whatever reason, they don't cook much food at home, so they're always looking looking to go out and buy food and buy drinks and buy things, and we're in the sweet spot. We're in the sweet spot of drinks, beverages. Depending on where we are located, anywhere 50% to 60% we sell beverages. So that really excites me. And then plus one, which is whether it's a sandwich or a croissant or a bagel or bagel bites, and the diversity of food that we have provided to our clients is huge.
Yeah, it's interesting, right? Because it feels like, especially post COVID, you know, there's a lot more desire for social interaction. Folks are very, very interested in going out and interacting with others, in a social environment, which is kind of making the experiential part of dining become even more critical. And when we say experience, it's not always kind of something that has to be fancy. It can be convenience. Convenience is also an experience, right? Speed is also an experience. Like you can deliver on all the different expectations of a customer as long as you're listening and you're adapting, right?
You nailed it. Actually, convenience and easy. That is very important to a customer. It's no longer that a customer is looking every day to dine out, sit and dine out, but they're looking at fast, easy, quick food that is wholesome, has quality, and not very expensive.
Yeah. In terms of technologies, there's more technologies today that are becoming ubiquitous than I think ever before, and they're finding their way into restaurants and retail spaces, right? So you think of, robotics, you think of AI, you think of drones, autonomous vehicles. Like they're making their way into all sorts of businesses. So what are your thoughts on how that's going to change how we interact with consumers? Because some of this might be back of house because you need it to augment or lack of skilled labor, or folks that are can be interact with the with your food. And then also there's folks that are using it in front of house to interact with the customer, right? How you take orders, whether it's kiosks or with an associate. And I would love your thoughts on that. And what do you see looking into the future?
Yeah, I'll separate the three pieces. There's a back of the house.
Right.
The more efficient and more consistent our equipment is, and with AI technology, I'm hoping that it's less manual, because even now, a lot of for our orders are custom orders, and each is done manually, piece by piece by piece. So I'm hoping with robotics and AI, we can automate some of those processes
Mm.
that is not manual. You may have seen at the front of the house, however, you already see that there are kiosks and there are digital boards. You can now order everywhere. You go to Taco Bell, you go there, you can order right there. So that thing is already coming, slowly but surely. And in most of the retail business now, what you see is there's always a self checkout line, and that started happening in the QSR industry. Uh, However, the back of the house is actually fairly cumbersome, and a lot needs, and it's very manual. So I'm really hoping that some of that, with time, there'll be more automation.
Is there anything that you're seeing in the restaurant space, whether QSR or full service, that you're skeptical about, that you're like, yeah, this is like a fad. I don't know if this is going to be something that'll stick around for many years.
We've seen quite a few things that we've tried. If it doesn't decrease the manual labor, but it's just an add-on cost, then it's really not that successful. So what I'm looking for is, when it really truly is efficient and also saves labor and is also consistent. So maybe the example that I can give you is, we have tap system which will give the same drink. So that's good. But has it saved manual labor yet? Not there yet. Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
For folks in our audience who service businesses like yours, any advice to them on how they could be, a better service provider, or could help you grow your business? How can they do more to make you a customer, or anyone in NDCP, right, within your membership?
We have great relationship on the NDCP side with our vendors. Okay. And that's a very big deal for us to get quality product consistently all the time. Okay. And that's why we are creating those relationships. We have also started doing joint sourcing with other brands, actually, and seeing if we buy in bigger volumes, how does NDCP benefit. So we're looking exploring in those areas also from NDCP perspective. As I said, we are already in restaurant solution, where we're looking at mass remodeling of the stores, and we're already doing that, uh, uh, and that business is also growing. So all those changes are inevitable and coming, and helps the franchisees as well as the costs for the overall system.
If you were to go back in time and do this over and start a franchise business, would you? And what would your advice be for anyone who's thinking about getting into the franchise business?
First of all, most of the people are hesitant to take that risk. When I got from this telecom company, when I got my stock options, and I didn't know what to do as a next step. I had the same hesitancy. Should I do this, or will I lose my money? And all those are very relevant risks. But once you are in, there's no turning back.
Hmm.
Okay, you have to put your heart, soul, mind right into it.
Right.
That would be my advice to anybody. And if you can balance the operation and finance together for any business, not only QSR, you will always win.
Amazing. So Sanjay, what's in store for you as you look into the future? Are you going to go into more brands? Is that something which, excites you, or you'd be in the same brands but maybe more locations?
I think both.
There you go.
Really, really, because as opportunities come within the brands and other brands, I'll keep on moving till the time I have that incentive and love and desire to.
There you go. There you go. Well, I love it. I love it. Well, with that, Sanjay, I just want to say a huge thank you. With that, I want to say a huge thank you to everyone in the audience. Thank you for joining us on the show of Elevating Brick and Mortar. And Sanjay, for folks in our audience who want to look you up and connect with you, where can they find you?
I'm on LinkedIn. They can send me a request over there, and I'd be more than happy to talk to them and communicate to them.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Sanjay, and thank you, everyone. And we'll see you on the next episode of Elevating Brick and Mortar. I hope you enjoyed this conversation with Sanjay Jain, NDCP board chairman and independent restaurant owner. It was fascinating to hear and learn more about an organization like NDCP that is 100% owned by the members and has successfully offered tremendous value and savings in a world of high demand and constant change. Sanjay confirmed what we've been hearing from other restaurant leaders, that today a large part of consumer demand comes from takeout or third-party orders. And no matter the kind of business, if you want to stay in business and be successful, you need to react, adapt, and be prepared for the consumer of the future. With that, I'm your host, Sid Shetty, and I'll see you on the next episode of Elevating Brick and Mortar.
Operations and facilities teams across industries rely on ServiceChannel to ensure that their locations provide the best possible guest experience. Keep customers coming back by lowering downtime and raising your brand standards. Visit ServiceChannel.com to learn more.